Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Welcome back. Thank y'all everybody for watching. My last video is doing really good, so I'm very excited for that. Very grateful, and I appreciate y'all. And you know how it is out here. But I'm gonna get back into these words of wisdom, see what we can unravel this mystery together. So tune in, and I hope, honestly, I don't get copyright for this book when my channel probably gets monetized or something. But I don't know how that really works, so I should probably reach out to these people or the next books I try to read on my channel, so I don't get any strikes or anything like that. But here we go. I'm gonna read back a little bit, kind of where we left off, because there's like another part to that little page right here. It kind of ended, but here we go. This is another fluorite crystal, 6 through 37. One of my own. It's very big, about 4 inches on a side. You don't often see them this big anymore. In case you can't quite see it, it comes up to a point in the center. Okay, saw that. 6 through 38. Different truncating possibilities. Top line, truncating edges. Bottom line, truncating points. Somebody put this in a window where the sunlight hit it, and because the bonds in fluorite are so weak, when the sunlight struck it, it cracked along the octahedral atomic lines. Of course, in the upper right corner of figure 6 through 38 is a cube. The cube to its left is truncated along its edges, truncated twice more. The darn thing turned into a dodecahedron. This is an example of the cube dodecahedron in crystals. In figure 6 through 39, the upper crystal is a pyrite cube. It grew that way. No one cut it. There's a huge one like this in Silverado, Colorado, about 6 feet square, I believe. They simply took it out of the earth as a perfect cube. This little pyrite is square on 2 ends, rectangular on the sides. The lower crystal is a tiny pyrite dodecahedron cluster. Some of them are almost perfect, and it grew this way in Peru. If this little slab had been left in the earth long enough, those little dodecahedrons would turn into cubes, and over enough time after that, they would turn back into dodecahedrons. If you take the dodecahedron, bottom left in figure 6 through 38, and truncate its points, it turns into an octahedron next to it on the right. If you keep truncating the points, it turns into an octahedron. I could go on with this truncating business for a long time. There are thousands of ways to do it. Each pattern and crystal, no matter how complex it gets, will turn into one of the 5 platonic solids if you truncate it just right, showing the innate nature of the 5 platonic solids in crystal structure. So, yeah, these, you know how they some of the UFOs are they're always shape shifting. They're like, oh, it's so many shapes like these. Like, people describe all these shapes. So, you know what's going on. Or maybe the crystals, because crystals and rocks been here for millions of years. They're like their own entity. Like, everything's alive, and so they probably transform into living crystals. Like some living kind of information, because crystals have information. They carry information, and like quartz crystals. So it could be something like that going on, uh, that possibility, or it's like a UFO. Like, they figured out how to make nanotech out of these crystals that can turn and shapeshift into different UFO structures and whatnot. What the crystal pattern is, it's always based on a platonic solid. Crystal structures are faction of 5 platonic solids that came out of the fruit of life, out of the Metatron cube. Metatron's cube. If you want to see more of these crystals, you can find plenty in the Rocks and Minerals book by Charles A. Sorrell. There's one more set I want to talk about that refers back to figure 6 through 38. Different truncating possibilities. When you truncate an octahedron by cutting off all the corners so that they are 90 degrees to each other, shown to A on the figure, it makes the shape on its left. If you were to draw it on a flat surface, it would be a square with a diamond in the middle. This pattern happens to be related to our consciousness, to the very nature of who we are. Like consciousness, like shapes our consciousness. Our mind is thinking in a crystal form. The brain is a crystal mind, crystal meth. He's smoking too much crystal meth. Buckminster Fuller's cube equilibrium. This is what the shape looks like three-dimensionally, figure 6 through 41. It's called a cuboctahedron or vector equilibrium. You can see that it's originally a cube, but if the angle at point A were continued upward, it would form an octahedron. It's both at once, an octahedron and a cube. It doesn't know which one it is. It's somewhere in the middle. When Buckminster Fuller found this polyhedron, he became almost preoccupied with it. He thought that the cuboctahedron was paramount, the greatest shape that ever was in creation, because it does something that no other known shape does. It was so important to him that he gave it a brand new name, the vector equilibrium. He discovered that this shape, through different rational patterns, turns into all 5 of the Platonic solids. This one shape seems to have them all contained within itself. 6 through 42. Like, you're in the cube, man. Get out the cube, man. Get out the box. You're in the box, man. Like, we just got to disengage from the matrix, from what they want us to be participating in, and just be mellow yellow, you know what I'm saying? But here we go. You can see that it's originally a cube, but it's an angle at a point where you continue upward, it would form an octahedron. It's both at once, an octahedron and a cube. It doesn't know which one it is. It's somewhere in the middle. When Buckminster Fuller found this polyhedron, he became almost preoccupied with it. He thought that the cuboctahedron was prominent, the greatest shape that ever was creation, the shape that ever was in creation, because it does something that no shape does. It was so important to him that he gave it a brand new name, the vector equilibrium. He discovered that this shape, through different rational patterns, turns into all 5 Platonic solids. This one shape seems to have them all contained within. See, I just read it again, so yeah. If you find this interesting, buy this toy, see the reference section, and play with it. It will answer all your questions if you let it. Oh yeah, it's a toy, right? Like, people make these, like the jigsaw puzzles, right? The freaking Rubik's Cube. That's interesting, huh? It's like always moving. It's like, whoa, bro, whoa. If we were in it, it's like, but say if you were in the center, right? And like all these things, like whatever side you are, but your gravity would stay centered, because it's like somehow you're in the center, but it's like keeping you not like flipping upside down, but somehow, you know, with the gyros spinning, you'll be like centered. Deep inside a sesame seed. Other people have also studied the Kabul, this word, cuboctahedron. Is anybody familiar with a man named Darold Langham? Not too many people know of him. He was pretty quiet during his life. His work is called Genesis. Genesa. 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 If you want to study it, I really respect him. First of all, he was a botanist who single-handedly saved South Africa during World War II. They were starving to death, and he created a corn that grew like weed. You just threw it on the ground, and it grew almost without water. It was a great service to the South American continent. Later, he studied the sesame seed, and when he explored deep inside it, he found a cube. In fact, when you get inside any seed, you'll find little geometrical shapes that are associated with the platonic solids, primarily the cube. Yeah, I've seen some stuff. Like, what seed was it? Because I never seen a seed like this, but it was like, it looked like a little rock. It was like, I forgot I planted it, but it was like I never seen that type of shape, because mostly everything's like an eye, you know. And I always thought like maybe like the seeds are like the eye of God, also like the plants and stuff, through the connection with the meta. So like the plants can see through God, or God sees through the plants, like fiber optics or something. And since plants are alive and stuff, so they're connected. And then you think like, where does the seed come? Like, it comes from the void. It's just like pushing out of like the quantum, like they're pushing it out, and then like it just appeared on the ground or something. Like, that's what I don't understand. You know, what came first, the seed or the tree or the fruit? You know, it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? No one really knows what came first, the human or the baby or the mom, or, you know. That's what it kind of shows you, like everything is like genetically made, or like programmed. Somebody programmed it. Like God, he's a programmer, the geometrist of dimensions. So he's like programming different you know, programs in different dimensions. So that's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. He discovered that the same energy. Okay. Daryl Langland found 13 rays that came out of the sesame seeds cube. Carrying those studies further, he discovered that the same energy fields that are in plant seeds also exist around the human body, which is what we will eventually talk about. But he focused on the cuboctahedron. Vector cube equilibrium, called vector. Do you see the vector? So yeah, like, you know, what's really going on? Is the quantum, are things coming out from the quantum into this 3D matrix? Could that be it? Like, where all these shapes and sizes come from? They come from the portals or something, right? Like, who's creating all these seeds coming out of nowhere? Or like, you know, different things mixing in the ground create elements. Like, if they're always changing these shapes, right? Like, so what's changed? Like, things are always morphing. Morphin' Mighty Morphin' Power Ranger. Okay, I mess around too much, but we're having fun, right? Which is like, that's like just me every day, which is interconnected with the fields around the body. We will be discussing that, though my instructions are to focus on another shape, the star tetrahedron. We have a star tetrahedral field around our body, so, which is also around seeds, but which makes a series of geometrical progressions that are different from the cuboctahedron vector equilibrium. Langham made a series of what you might call scared dances in Sufi talk, in which you move and connect with all the points in your field in such a way that you become aware of them. It's really good information. That's why it's like we can't control the fields because we'll be like hurting each other, like zapping, sending like freaking death rays, you know. So that's how Spider-Man's grandfather said, and it's like that word. It's like Stan Lee, you know. That word is quoted like, with great power comes great responsibility, Peter Parker. So, figure 6 through 43 shows some of the three-dimensional forms of the polyhedrons we have been talking about. This one at A is the cubooctahedron he just discussed. The one at B is the rhombic dodecahedron. The later is important because it's the dual of the cubooctahedron. If you connect the centers of the cubooctahedron, you get the rhombic dodecahedron, and vice versa. See that word? It also sounds like it's like hermaphrodite, like it's like a girl and a guy, right? Like a stone, like our stones, even like that, like male and female. I don't know. If you connect the centers of that, you get the rhombic and vice versa. Okay, I'm just like talking nonsense now, talking on like ain't even talking right. Figure 6 to 44 shows how the internal geometries of the atoms are reflected in angles of these crystals. We've seen that already in terms of crystals, beam cubes, octahedrons, and other forms. Beautiful, beautiful crystals. If y'all like crystals, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Here's a crystal right here. This is mushroom crystal, quartz crystal. Very beautiful. The 26 shapes. From my way of thinking, the first 5 platonic solids are the first 5 notes of the pentatonic scale. The octave has 7 notes, the last 2 corresponding to the cubooctahedron A and the rhombic dodecahedron B, shown in figure 6 to 43. 5 additional shapes form the chromatic scale, and there's a 13th one, the return. Thus, there are 13 polyhedrons that form the chromatic scale of music. From those 13 more are formed that are the same, only stellated to total 26 shapes, 2 octaves within each other. In terms of form, those 26 shapes are the key to all the harmonics of reality. We don't need to get into such complexity there, but it just goes on and on. So I think that, well, like a couple years ago when I was first starting reading this book, this was like the octaves, right? Like everybody's, well, not everybody, but there's like the masters of the universe, right? Like that thing they have is like, it's like a piano. It's like, but they're using octaves to open up portals and stuff, like frequencies, like sounds and stuff. So, and then that show, not show, well, it was a show too, it was a cartoon, but that's where they show like the reptilians, you know, like different things. And I think the Thundercats were like they're both like in the same universe, right? So all these things, like they're like showing us, like, you know, how the esoteric knowledge is put out there, you know, like in cartoons, TV shows, like all these things. So like they've been showing us like slowly, like all these things, you know. And it's very interesting because I wouldn't doubt like sound is what rips open time and space, or something. Like sounds are like frequencies, you know. Okay, today I'm just like having fun. But thank y'all for tuning in. If you like these like little discussions, readings, talks, whatever, whatnot, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, share this video. Don't share it. Y'all know what to do. Just keep on tuning in, and I'm gonna have some like a cool shirt like going. I just it's one of my thumbnails too. It's like the one with the chip on the head, the female. But that's kind of like when the aliens took me too. Like they stamped that chip on the side of my head, but I ripped it out, and there were like neurons or like brain neurons, like little fucking receptors, like little. They look like antennae, like a bunch of like antennae in my head, and it was connected to my brain, and I kept like picking it out, and it used to like stand out like a bump, and it looked like a little brain, and all the stuff that they're creating, the brains, AIs, interface chips, quantum chips, like all this stuff. So like these aliens are, or if they're the grays, or they're like humans from the future timelines coming back to the past and talking, whatever, communicating with different timelines and stuff. But like I never really got into the discussion how like I kind of like did like when I made my official UFO abduction video, but like the thing was like these like leading up to it, right? Like my alien abduction, like I was just like watching movies, countless movies, aliens, different things. Like, you know, it was like the 80s. I was watching movies from like the 60s, 70s, all these things. Like, so in my mind, like, no one told me, my parents didn't tell me, like, oh, aliens are not real. It's just all made up. So in my mind, like, I thought everything was real. Like, everyone knew all these things. And when I seen like these movies where the smartwatch and all this stuff, and like, and I was like, oh, I want that, mom. I want the smart watch. Like, it was like in the 90s, and it was like, what are you talking about? This doesn't even exist. But I think I seen her on Star Trek or some movie like that. But she ended up just getting me a calculator one, and I was like, dee, 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 dee. 2 plus 2 is 4. But basically, like, it was that they were already showing us the tech was there, and they had it. And so in my mind, I think like, and then plus watching the PBS channel about remote viewing, you know, like back in the days, like, so when I was like 5, 6 years old, watching the thing about remote viewing, like they were like saying like all these things, you can see the future and this and that, and I was like, what? I was like literally like just off the TV, and that was the thing back in the day. It was a big wooden TV, and I was just like just with my knees crossed, like watching the TV, and I was just like trying to understand what, you know, like make sense of what they're saying. But I think that's how like whatever I did at that time, the things and things I was feeling, like somehow like, because I was just at the right place at the right time. Like I just asked my mom for $1 for a slice of pizza, so I walked, you know, it was already like evening, and I walked like half a block, but you know, that was just the times. Like I was like 6 years old, I would have walked everywhere like by myself. But um, it was very interesting because it was just, you know, like I'm thinking like, was it because that energy I was putting out there, and then plus they're watching the TV, they probably had like secret tech spying on everybody, just like that movie The Running Man that just showed, and everybody knows that TVs are spying on you too. So they could have been like something like that going on, you know. So I'm gonna keep reading. I'm just like going off because like I really want to discuss about that, but I think it should just be like another video. And I also got like another video of like, well, I wanted to talk about my experience at the rave and stuff that happened in Wonderland, and it's gonna like just stuff that they're using technology, mind control, frequencies, to make people superhumans, like hit them with the frequencies, whatever. But I'm gonna get like more in depth, like what happened to me, and like the things I experienced, and the things that I was like feeling, and my conclusion after everything was said and done, and how I realized like, yep, they're freaking scanning our brains and our minds and uploading it without our consent. So that's like another thing that's like going on the sidelines. But it's all going to be unveiled. People are going to see the truth, and people already know, because 3-4 years ago it started happening with the phones, like reading your mind, where you're like thinking about something, and then it just like, you know, pops up. And now if you really focus on something, and I did it, and well, it was this random time when I figured out like 5 years ago, around people at the same time, they're like, you know, I think it's like a conscious wave, like everyone, like the people that are in tune, like kind of like start feeling the same things, and it's like, okay, it has to be true. So, and that's what they're doing with the cell phones, and they can like slowly detect our minds, and eventually they'll be scanning everybody's minds, and trying to get all your secrets and everything. They basically know everything about you, and you're already giving them that too. So might as well just get in my brain. Get in my brain. Like, I want your brain. So 26 shapes. From the way of thinking, the first 5 platonic solids are the first 5 notes of the platonic scale, the octave. Did I read this? Okay. No, I don't think so. The 5 platonic scales are the first 5 notes of the platonic scale. The octave has 7 notes, the last 2 corresponding to the cubicahedron A and the romophobic. Oh, I think I probably did read. Dodecahedron B, shown in figure 6 or 43. 5 additional shapes from the chromatic scale, and there's a 13th one and return. Thus, there are 13 polyhedrons that form the chromatic scale of music. From those 13 more are formed that are the same, only stellated to total 26 shapes, 2 octaves within each other. In terms of form, those 26 shapes are the key to all the harmonics of reality. We don't need to get into such complexity here, but it goes on and on and on. Okay, you already read that, but yeah, it goes on and on and on. It's the fractals, right? One of you may know the Royal Reef, the man who was trying to cure cancer through electromagnetic fields, EMF, such as light, which I believe is absolutely possible and has been done. Yeah, they're doing it now, but like, it's like, where are they doing it? Why don't it's more available to more people in this world, you know? And because it's like selective, it's depopulation control, you know, just like this war and all these wars, and then they get the own people, the own same type of people to oppress the same type of people, and then the main ones are like just their hands are clean, you know. And then if it's like really down to the reptilians, they're controlling everything, you know, the humans that are involved with them, the people, and so on, you know. So like, it's like deeper. It's deeper. Like, this reality goes deeper than what we can think of. And Linda Moulton Howe, she got information too about how they told her World War, was it two, was a battle, celestial battle. It was like a battle, World War One or two, but she just basically said that it was like a battle for like an alien battle, right? And then the because like people give her information, like, you know, old retired people still working, you know. So it was something like that. And it just got really crazy, and she was saying stuff like that. And so I was trying to bring it back. Where is it at? It's going, but it was basically, she got the information, she said that, and what it feels like, what she said now is like kind of true, like what's going on now, like aliens, this and that, like these wars, like why are we still warring, you know? And then you think like the human race, it's just like, that's why this experiment is gonna fail, and all the past ones have failed because they're always warring, right? And I think that's a great experiment. Genesis is like, they can never live together in harmony as one race, a human race, right? So they're always like divisions, fighting, killings, and eventually our race is going to be gone, right? Just like all these old Neanderthals, people bred it in with modern humans, and that's what eventually is going to happen. And you know, I'm sure there's in South America, different places, or remote places, the humans are still going to be there, but like the ones in the metropolitan cities are going to all like genetically enhance themselves and turn themselves into like mutants, whatever they want, you know. And then like it's going to be a division between genetically modified people and like regular, you know, people that just want to stay regular. And there's going to be a big division with that coming up, like, so it's a whole bunch of shit, you know, transhumanism, all that. So some of you may know of the Royal Reef, the man who, yeah, okay, we just read that. And Reef knew of 7 of the 13, or possibly 26 frequencies. The ones he published were incorrect, but he possibly did that. Those he published cause cancer, though if they're shifted slightly in a certain mechanical way, they return to the original frequencies, and each frequency destroys most or all of a specific virus or bacterium. See, they know the frequencies like have a major part, a role in like, you know, killing diseases, and that's why they don't want it, because it's so easy. Like you can just probably, you know, with all this equipment all around, you know, you can probably make it yourself. A lot of people, but I ain't that smart, you know, and I don't got the tools, the freaking soldering thing and all this stuff. Like, and then things like that you make, you don't want to like put it out there, right? Like if I were to make it, or somebody, like nowadays, like you just keep it to yourself, and you know, or like you give it to everybody, and then everybody starts building it, and then they can't stop it, right? And where like if one person had it, then you can be like, oh, come to, you know, like free sessions, or like, you know, everything, like help you out, you help me, and then we just figure this stuff out together. But they will never let it happen. Like you can have these machines in every freaking hospital, and every like patient can, like in your city, could be cured, right? But then like what's that gonna do with insurance? Like no one's gonna need insurance, no one's gonna need nothing, and that's what they don't want. They want to be paying for insurance, paying for all these things. I never even paid for insurance my whole life. I never even had insurance, because in my mind it was like, just stay healthy. When I was younger, like keep eating right. It's like how Darwin, the thing that I was, is like in my mind since I was younger, survival of the fittest. Is that how it really is? And it must be that way, right? Like, but it doesn't have to be. We could all like have equal, you know, have the pie is so big that it can feed the whole nation, the whole world, right? So the seeds, right? The seeds, plant the seeds, and they shall grow, and they shall provide you fruit. So I'm gonna read a little bit more, but this one's turning pretty long, and time is running out. No, it's not running out, but time's gonna keep on going. Okay, so I'll just read this little more, and then I'll just call it a wrap. Call it a rapperoonie. Okay. However, Reef only knew part of the equation. If he had known the square geometry we know now, he could have come up with all 26 forms and eliminated any virus in existence. It doesn't matter how many AIDS viruses there are. There's nothing to finding a solution. There are a maximum of 26 templates, and the right frequencies will eliminate every single virus or bacterium, because every virus is a polyhedron. Structurally, they look just like the polyhedrons in figure 6 to 43. There are various ways you can deal with them. You can either blow them up through certain harmonics of EMF, or you can match them. Figure 6 or 45. If you can match them, you can couple with them, much like an antivirus does, or you can simply make them non-existent by creating a waveform that's a mirror image of what they are. That's like the mirror DNA they're working on, right? Something like that. There are lots of ways to work with AIDS, but one primary key is understanding that there are a maximum of 26 geometries associated with it. Doesn't this like look like the tribals? Like the tribal, like the bands and stuff, like, and the fabrics and stuff, like the Southwest. Maybe they, you know, they all knew the patterns. That's why they make all the patterns. Okay. Crystallized water ice crystals form these hexagonal patterns we call snowflakes. Figure 6 of 43. You can see the relationship to the flower of life over and over and over again. You'll find this relationship of 3D patterns to the geometries that come out of this one central flower of life pattern. Beautiful, huh? It's like, what the? Imagine building a whole like smart city. Whoa. Yeah, you seen that movie, The Running Man? People seen it? Anybody seen it? that just came out. I was watching it yesterday, and it was like very interesting, but just how they in that reality, which is on that same path as ours, like everyone's like on their devices, the freaking games, like basically like kind of like sensitized to people killing, and that's just like the thing, you know. And they showed it in a couple movies, a bunch of movies like that. Like they're just showing us like what they got ready for us, you know, like these things. Like this is gonna be no freaking the smart cities, right? In that movie, the smart cities, all these people, facial recognition. We live in the outskirts. We don't have tech. If we do, like we use it responsibly, right? Responsible, something like that. So should I just end right here? I think, because then I'll have to keep reading. Let's see what's going on. But I'll just read this last page. Okay. The periodic table. This is an interesting version of the periodic table of elements 6 through 47 because it shows that every element, with a few exceptions that cannot be determined because they will not crystallize, is related to the cube. One of these few exceptions is fluoride, because fluorine is fluorine because fluorine reacts with almost nothing. It's one of the most inert gases, but on almost all the other elements we find these cubical relationship, except the fourth dimensional atoms that fall outside the natural table of elements, and those that are synthetic are man-made. They don't happen naturally in nature. Each atomic element has an associated crystalline structure in every single case scientists have found. And am I a crystal? Are we gonna turn into crystals? That's what it seemed like. Like, you seen those videos of like those people that just like energy, like in South America, like Baloo, that guy. But there's like other recent ones I've seen that they're like, they look like lights. Like it just looks like white energy. And I'm thinking, is that the Ascended Masters, the Ascended Masters that are like lights, you know, like energy? And yeah. Oh, before I forget, but what I was saying about Linda Moulton Howe is she said all that, right? And if you guys, back to Linda Moulton Howe, but I just thought, because I was gonna say it then, and I just like go on different topics, but basically like these things called the Saint Germaine discourses, the 33 discourses, and then this other one, mysteries unveiled. But basically it describes like a thing like that too around World War II, that it was about like it was a high cosmic war, like some, like, it doesn't go too deep into it, but it says like something like that. And I'm like, you know, like what Linda Moulton Howe is saying and what they're telling her is kind of like real, like, because this book was written like 1930 something, you know. And it was like, yeah, y'all gotta hear that book. And I played on audio, like, and I'm tapping into it again. But when I first heard about it, I was like, for like 2-3 years, like I played it every night before I went to sleep. And I want to discuss some things about that too, but I don't think I should, because like you dissipate your energy and your powers, and a lot of experiences have been happening since I've been like hearing that, you know, using the I am affirmations. But I suggest y'all get on that one. The Saint Germaine Discourses of Saint Germaine, 33 Discourses. Study that one. It's like 8 hours long, and it's all gonna be up here. Hear it at night, and it's gonna do like a lot of stuff for you. So thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna end it there. If y'all like it, if y'all don't, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and take care. And remember your ancient past. And if the higher realms see this eventually, thank y'all for all your wisdom. And you know, even the grays and whatever that took me, I know everything was like for a purpose and stuff. So we're gonna find the purpose slowly go, and if it's like technological, like where humans got to like, because that's what it feels like, we're about to like be like freaking cyborgs and stuff. And I feel like I wouldn't mind, but like for like a higher cause, like if it's a war, whatever, like with the reptiles, who knows, I don't know. But proton cannon,